Hello and welcome to this special weekly show called Diaspora Diamonds, which is our salute to over 32 million strong Indian diaspora present in over 200 countries worldwide. I'm Gautam Roy. The show launched the same day, same time earlier this year, around the time the 17th Pravasi Bharatiya Samman convention was held in Madhya Pradesh's Indore city. PBD provides a platform for overseas Indian community to engage with the government and people of India and share their experiences and insights. It also helps strengthen ties between India and the global Indian diaspora and to recognize the achievements and contributions of Indians living abroad. The Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Awards are an integral part of the biennial event and are conferred by the President of India upon members of the Indian diaspora who made exceptional contributions in their chosen fields and have acted as India's ambassadors in foreign lands. Our guest this week is one such awardee this year. We have with us Reena Vinod Pushkarna. She's recipient Pravasi Bharatiya Samman Award and celebrity chef cum restaurateur who's joining us from Tel Aviv in Israel. Welcome to Diaspora Diamonds, Reena ji.
Thank you so much.
Well, first of all,
shalom from Israel.
Thank you. Same to you. Now, first of all, congratulations for the award. Now, what were your first thoughts when you heard that you're getting the highest honor that the Indian government can give to an Indian living abroad who settled in Israel?
Complete shock. I didn't think I deserved something for being a proud Indian. What I did all my life with my family surrounding me, and just being very proud of my heritage, wanting to spread the word around of Indian cuisine, actually culture through Indian cuisine. And that was the go-get from the beginning. And then it just spread all over Israel.
Wonderful. And how did your family and friends feel? Were they taken by surprise, or did they feel that the award is good recognition for what you've been doing so far in Israel?
Well, they always supported me. My family was always around me. The people of Israel support me a lot. We have a very strong Indian community over here of, first it was 85,000. Now today I'm told we are more than 100,000 Indian Israeli Jews here from India. Mm-hmm. And so the diaspora is big and a lot of responsibility. My restaurant was full of flowers from every Israeli, and I didn't know how to say thank you, and they all said it was very well deserved because like I'm a walking, talking ambassador of India. And it's, I think, simple folks like me who leave a lasting impression on the Aam Aadmi, and that's what it takes.
Great. Now, much is already known about you. You're called the Curry Queen of Israel, who's played host to a galaxy of leaders and celebrities, including both the Indian and Israeli prime ministers together at Benjamin Netanyahu's home. But how did this entire journey really begin as a chef, as a restaurateur?
Well, mine was an arranged marriage by my dad, who is Sikh Punjabi, and my mother, Baghdadi Jewish, Iraqi Jew. And it all started with me sailing with my husband, Vinod, who was a captain in the Merchant Marine, on board the ship. And mine is a university of life. I got married straight after school. So for me, it was a whole new world ahead of me. And on board the ship, I had nothing to do but just read books from one end of the library to the other, or to try to catch some radio frequency, or to just go on the bridge, be with my husband, and look forward to seeing new ports. But then slowly, I made friends with the chefs on the ship. You know, we had two different kitchens. One was for the crew and one was for the officers. So slowly they became my friends. And that's how I found myself being exposed to world cuisine for 9 years on the ship. This was like a base for me. I didn't have any culinary school. It was just being standing in the kitchen and making friends with all the chefs and seeing different cuisines every year, because it was 10 months every year on board a ship. And that was really my you can say journey into culinary school. And then later on going and learning different kinds of vegetarian cuisine from my Punjabi mother-in-law, who used to cook food without onion and garlic. And this was a young Jewish girl in her kitchen without any shoes. So this was quite an experience to start and come. And then I wanted my husband actually to leave sea life. And on one of our voyages, we landed in Israel.
Right.
And we said, why not start to do something here? And over here, Israelis felt that we dropped from the sky. What was this I was selling? Because I started with a restaurant called Ichik Dana. Why Ichik Dana? Because that's what Israelis knew about India. Raj Kapoor, the song Ichik Dana, Bichik Dana, and Indira Gandhi. That's it. And then come this Indian couple who says that, look at us, we are Indians, and we have brought you our vegetarian cuisine. And at that time, vegetarian food was a taboo in Israel, because here they are meat eaters. And
they consider fish and eggs vegetarian as well, I guess.
One tomato or one onion or one cucumber or capsicum in their fridge, and that was what was vegetarian for them. And suddenly this young lady comes and sells pani puri and thali, and it was we were like in a place where we were close by to an army base, and they would look at us in the afternoons and think, where did these people drop in? Everybody would take our chairs away, and this was like a kiosk. And then suddenly in the evening, the Indian people heard that there was this place opened, and they would come with their their transistors and their Bollywood music in buses, and half of them would pay and half of them would run away. And well, we thought this is not what we came to do all the way. So my husband went back on the ship, and I asked for one more chance to do something with meat this time. And that's how we opened Tandoori.
Okay.
And didn't look back after that.
Wonderful. Your journey is also made up of epic anecdotes and even historical moments significant in the world's quest for lasting peace. Tell us about those as well.
Well, Oslo peace talks started in our restaurant in Tandoori, Tel Aviv. And how did we come to know about it? Because suddenly we were watching television, and then they showed the famous handshake on the lawns of the White House between Prime Minister Rabin and Chairman Arafat. And ABC American television said, we'll take you back now to where it all started. And they zoomed in on my Tandoori Tel Aviv, and I said, oh God, when did this happen? What did this happen? Well, at that time, we started with our right foot. We used to bring in 15 staff every restaurant from the Oberois. So we were like professional from the beginning. I still don't call myself a chef. I call myself a cook, a good cook, because I'm learning every day from my chefs in my kitchens. And suddenly we heard that they had this special lunch with the Norwegians, the Palestinians, and the Israelis. And that's where the whole Oslo peace talk started. And from there, they moved into Jerusalem, and from there to Oslo for the famous peace talks. And then the European newspapers quoted it, saying that peace talks heat up over hot curry.
Okay.
So the Indians also have a role to play over here with their spices. But I think we are neutral ground. People feel very comfortable to come to us, and we've always welcomed everybody. I think that's your Bharatiya Samman that you give people. So everybody feels comfortable to come to us, and I think that's the reason why they hosted their first meeting in our restaurant. Then after that, when I mean, all the dignitaries used to come to us. I mean, after that, we opened 8 restaurants and 7 express, and then the factory, and we were catering all over Israel. And we used to always welcome Hollywood stars, or our dear Maestro Zubin Mehta would bring in all his musicians, and the Prime Minister at that time, Prime Minister Netanyahu was, I think, Deputy Foreign Minister, and he used to visit us very often, and it caught up, tandoori caught up, and suddenly in 2018, 17, when Prime Minister Modi ji visited Israel, and I was asked to come in with my team. Firstly, we were at the King David catering for and preparing for the whole delegation. But apart from that, Mrs. Netanyahu and Prime Minister Netanyahu requested me to come to their home with my team.
Yes, and that dinner Prime Minister Netanyahu hosted for Prime Minister Modi is also quite legendary now.
My first date where I took Sarah was to Reena's restaurant in Tel Aviv. And it was so successful. We have 2 beautiful children, and I thought, why not play the magic again with India? And this time, with the connection through food and to our hearts, and then on to politics. And that's how the whole world came to know about it. Actually, in the next year on their peace conference, he quoted it again. And then I went in the foyer, I had all these Indian journalists and all the TV crews saying that, did you know that their first date was in your restaurant? And I said, yes. I don't mention things, but now he's mentioned it to the world. And then later on, I came with him to India, and he mentioned it to the whole of India. And I think Indians embraced him for that, for respecting their cuisine and for respecting their culture. And tell me which Prime Minister does that anywhere else in the world.
Yeah,
Except that's what who stays a staunch believer in his food, his yoga, and his culture.
Certainly. That's one of the things that I feel that, people talk so much about India and its soft power and how Indian films represent a great part of its soft power. They talk about Bollywood, not just the films, the music itself of the films. Then, of course, there's yoga now, Ayurveda. But the thing that is not talked about as much as it should, perhaps, is cuisine. So what do you think about that? India taking its soft power to the world with its cuisine. We would like to know from the Queen of Curry in Israel.
Well, to tell you frankly, it was very difficult to sell Indian food into this country because the Indian Jews who came here were more engrossed in assimilating and proving their Jewishness than concentrating on their cuisine. And I am always there to say that Indian food is gourmet food, never mind how it's presented. And today I think Israelis have begun to realize that more than anyone else in the world. And I think they can teach me about what it is to cook up a good Indian meal. Apart from teaching them to eat Indian food, I've also taught them how to cook it on different Israeli channels.
Great.
But I think food has brought, Indian food has brought many people, I think all dignitaries from all over the world onto our tables. And that's what's taken a step further into politics.
Great. Great. Now, you've got the PB Samman Award in the category of business and community welfare. You have a chain of Indian restaurants in Israel now, spreading the aroma of Indian cuisine in your adopted country. Now, tell us about this aspect of your life and how you've channeled it even to do community welfare.
Well, as I mentioned to you, we have more than 100,000 Indian Jews now. The first thing is the new generation proudly comes to my restaurants, telling their Israeli partners that this is what India is all about. So I'm very proud about that, firstly. But secondly is taking advantage of this new government I hope that we will have one representative from our community representing the whole Indian diaspora over here, which has really not happened in all these years. And I've been pushing for that. And I think after getting the Bharatiya Pravasi Samman, I think more responsibility has been added to my shoulders to push in the right government for our Indians to get into parliament.
Okay, okay. And the kind of community work you must have been doing, it must have also given you a lot of insight into the Israeli socio-economic milieu as well. Now, what commonalities do you think are there between India and Israel which could be built upon further to bring the two countries and societies even closer?
See, there are a lot of things that, firstly, Indians are in top positions all over the world. There are a lot of things that we do not do. We can take a page from the Jews who are together in their diaspora, helping Israel from outside, and that's what the Indians should do. When they come to PBD every year, they should take up projects and help their cities or their villages. That's what I'm a part of Lion of Judah, and their only Indian representative. We are 20,000 women from all over the world, and we take up projects to help women and children. And I think this is what PBD, I think all the committees all over the world coming across every 2 years into PBD should do. They should have different projects, not only to come to see our dear Prime Minister, who is our superstar, or our dear President or the ministers, but to come with an agenda. How can we help the man on the ground? How can we help our cities? How can we help our villages through our different technologies which we are experiencing, and through our different contacts all over the world? And I was very impressed by one such session that I attended at PBD, was the women entrepreneurs, and I hope to be a speaker next PBD at that event, telling the world how you don't need to come from wealth, you can be a middle class Indian, you can be a middle class lady coming into this, you can help and move worlds for other people. And I think that's what we women are all about.
I hope that works out well. Now, also tell us, how is India viewed by Israelis? Is it seen as a rising global power, which is also the voice of the global South, as it is seeking to be while hosting the G20 summit this year?
India has always been a world power. Look, first, you used to have only the backpackers going as tourists to India. Today, then their parents followed. And after that, you take a step at a time. After that, the business people followed. After that, the governments spoke to each other. This is what Modi ji did. He took it one step at a time. And I think it's about time that India take on professionally to represent India all over the world, like, where not only where you have something to do with arms or technology, but things on the ground, like the infrastructure, start with the airports. You have one of the best airports in the world. You have the best facilities at the airports. I compare you to the West, and it starts with there. So India is progressing, and you see the progress on the ground every visit that I take. And I think we should be proud, and we are able to stand with the other G7 countries and represent and go ahead with India.
Certainly. Now, Indians have had a long-standing presence in Israel, both as Israeli Jews, you mentioned them, and those who live there for work and their studies. Now, what's the composition of the Indian diaspora now, and how is it contributing to Israel's progress?
I remember about 10 years ago. This was that when our recent ambassador Singla was then our DCM, and I arranged a meeting for the first with the Dean of Reichman Institute for the first exchange program of students coming into, Indian students coming into Israel, and vice versa. And now I see that happening on the ground. One of my restaurants is located in the IT area, where you see a lot of representation of young IT engineers coming into Israel to work and learn. So I think this is a big start. This is apart from everything else that is happening on the ground with agriculture and technologies, exchange technologies, and now you have Mr. Adani bought Haifa port, so you will have a lot of interaction with Indian ships docking at the port, and just the whole country opening up more to India.
Right.
And don't forget, it all started with my small lassi or pani puri or thali. You can. I mean, there was not even an Indian embassy here. We welcomed the embassy, we welcomed the Indian banks, we welcomed the Indian ministers, and I'm proud to say I am a president of Overseas Friends of BJP here. I'm not at all political, and I asked the question why. They said, because you represent Indian heritage, you stand tall with your Indian flag, representing Indian culture and food.
All right, so that's all we have for the moment in this edition of Diaspora Diamonds. Reena Pushkarna holding up that Indian flag in Israel for all Indians, the diaspora, and of course her nation as well, the nation of her birth. Let's hope that the flag keeps flying in different countries with the help of all these Indians abroad, the Indian diaspora. We'll keep bringing their stories to you through the course of Diaspora Diamonds as well. Thank you for watching, and keep watching DD India for all the latest.